What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/AmITheButtHole. If you are new to the channel and love a Reddit story, don't forget to click that subscribe button, maybe that notification bell too, and let's jump straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Megan M91204, titled, "Am I the arsehole for towing someone out of my parking pad when I wasn't using the spot?" For context, I live in a city and obviously parking is at a premium, which is why I paid more for a house with a parking pad. We have two cars, mine is normally on the street, and my wife is the one who uses the parking pad since she is currently going to school and gets home late when it's harder to find a spot. Since I moved into our house last March, during the day, I work from home. I normally have anywhere from 5 to 10 work trucks park without asking in my parking pad each week and do work for the various businesses/restaurants around me and stay there anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. This does irritate me because I think it's extremely rude. It's not like when someone accidentally parks somewhere, since they're pulling right onto my property without my permission like it's theirs. Additionally, about a month ago I noticed a crack forming on the parking pad, which I can only assume is due to these large trucks constantly using it and the workers loading/unloading their tools. So I decided to call a tow company and have them hang a sign so that if needed I could have them come and tow them out. I even went a step further and called all the businesses near me to let them know that I was putting out the sign and planned on towing cars if they were parked there. Well, yesterday, the day after the signs got hung, I went out back to take out the trash, and I couldn't open my gate because a big work truck was parked there. I waited about 30 minutes and then I called and had them towed. The owner of the vehicle showed up halfway through the tow, yelling to have to put it down. It was obviously awkward, and then he said, "Why don't you come knock on a few doors and look for me?" To which I replied, "It's not my responsibility to waste my time looking for the person who was illegally parked on my property. I have better things to do." This of course got me called a bitch. He thanked me for him losing a day's pay, paid the driver to drop him, and then he floored it and sped away to make his point, I guess. So, am I the arsehole? Now, absolutely not the arsehole. As soon as I saw this title, it gave me memories of my brother and seeing him, and I've probably told this story once or twice before on this channel, but I'm going to tell it again, just for you who haven't heard it before. When I was younger, I used to live in central Oxford, pretty close to the city centre, and we had like garages that were separate from the houses, and they were a bit further away. And because the traffic was so bad, people were always pulling into like the housing estates near the town centre, trying to find free places to park, because parking in Oxford is like £10 an hour or something stupid like that, and thinking nothing's going to happen. Well, they occasionally pick my brother's garage, which is the wrong garage to pick. Love my bro to bits, but sometimes he can be a bit of a hothead, not so much anymore. And his background is he works as like an engineer for big like earth moving trucks, and he has to change the wheels or does all the electricals, does pretty much everything on them if you want, change the tracks on these things. So he has a big van that can, move stuff pretty easily. And he used to wait behind the car and wind himself up till the person got back and then have a go at him. But these days, he takes no prisoners. He just ties the car to the back of his truck and literally drags it out of the estate and just leaves it somewhere random. Yes, there's potential for him to get in trouble for that, but does he give a shit? He certainly does not. And I've got to say, not the arsehole in this situation, as it's your property. These people think that they're entitled to park on your property and telling you that you have to go knock several doors to find them. Hell no, not the arsehole to me. But I have said my piece, says not the arsehole, and quotes, "Why didn't you come back and knock on a few doors and look for me?" And it says, what an audacity. Why didn't he knock on your door and ask permission, or even throw you a $5 or $10 for the stay? These people take advantage and then whine about it when called out. Unbelievable. Rainy Alaska 1 says, not the arsehole, is your parking pad. You put up signs and put the word out. If someone parks illegally, they can't expect you or anyone to come looking for them to move their vehicle. Don't worry about it and keep calling the tow company if needed. No one is entitled to park in your paid parking spot. Zykium says, not the arsehole, is your property. They could have knocked and asked if it were some kind of emergency. Burrow Bridge says, not the arsehole at all. This is another case of an entitled arsehole trying to become the victim by transferring responsibility to solve the issue to you, when he is the one who fucked up. Good for you. Integranda says, not the arsehole. If people park illegally, that's the chance they take. And one more from Royally Oki, who says, not the arsehole, I've been in this position. The only kindness I would afford these people is a sign warning them that they'll be towed. Anyone who parks on someone's property knows the chance that they're taking. As OP said in the beginning of the story, they did put up a sign that they got from the tow company, so yeah, they don't owe them nothing. I don't think they owe them anything anyway. It's just, if you're going to park on someone's space, and that was clearly, you could tell it was someone else's space, common courtesy is at least the very bare minimum you could do is knock on their door and ask them. But what do you guys think of this one? It was verging on sort of Nightmare Neighbors, so I couldn't resist it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account titled, Am I the arsehole for cancelling my son's birthday because of the gift he brought his stepbrother? I have two sons, Matt 32 and Benjamin 17. Matt is my stepson, my wife's bio son, and Benjamin is my biological son. He and Matt are not close due to the age gap and because they don't live in the same house, but they are cordial to each other. Matt is married and he and his wife have infertility issues that they've been struggling with for years. Benjamin is known for his sense of humour, but I don't think he's funny. He's focused on making comments about teasing Matt and his wife, such as, I don't know what it's like to have a niece or nephew and probably never will, or the age gap between me and y'all makes people assume I'm y'all's son. It's hurtful for Matt, so I told Benjamin to tune it down to no avail. Last week we celebrated Matt's birthday at my house. Matt is like a happy child when it comes to presents. He liked all the gifts we got him, except Benjamin. Benjamin brought a gift and handed it to Matt. Matt said thanks, I really appreciate the effort. Benjamin said he could open it, and Matt quickly unwrapped the gift and revealed a red t-shirt with the words, Best Dad Ever on it. He and his wife looked at each other. I felt terrible and I kept shaking my head as Benjamin laughed, telling him to try it on so everyone can see how it looks on him. My dad and my wife were upset. My wife and family were silent. I got into an argument with Benjamin as Matt and wife got ready to leave. Benjamin acted dumb when I asked him what he was thinking pulling this stunt and offending Matt like that. He said there's literally thousands of people wearing t-shirts that say a lot of stuff, and that in no way means that they insult the person wearing them, and it's not like every t-shirt people wear has to be accurate with their life. I replied that no matter how he tried to spin it, giving Matt Best Dad Ever t-shirt knowing he's struggling to become a dad was tacky at best and cruel at worst. I then said because of what he did, I'm cancelling the dinner reservation for his 18th birthday in 2 months' time, and he lost it saying he was just teasing Matt and it wasn't a big deal. He tried to negotiate, but I shut it down. He called his uncle and aunt who treat him as if he was their son and made excuses for him. I had an argument with his uncle after he said I shouldn't cancel Benjamin's birthday dinner over a teasing gift and that it wasn't his fault. Some people are hypersensitive and can't take a joke. I refused to discuss it after more family members asked. I let it go and told them they were free to host his birthday instead. Am I the arsehole? It's one of those stories again that I tried to get into the head of the person, you know, that's done this, bought this t-shirt, and I tried to think what they think, and I just like, it's impossible, isn't it? How can someone lack such empathy for another person that they think that this is a joke? They think that's a joke to do that to someone. Oh, I know, my brother's suffering from infertility issues. I'm going to buy him a Best Dad Ever t-shirt. That's the great thing to do. Holy hell, you're not the arsehole for cancelling that birthday dinner. And, you know, in some ways, I think it's not even far enough, but I don't know how much further you could go with it. But Daydream says, hardcore not the arsehole. That gift wasn't funny. It was cruel and beyond insensitive. Cancelling his birthday dinner is letting him off lightly in my opinion. Ipsima says, not the arsehole. Sounds like Ben has a mean streak that people excuse as humour. I can think of a bunch of t-shirt messages for him on his birthday. A lot of Lurkin says, not the arsehole. A joke is only funny if both parties find it funny. That wasn't a joke, it was just being malicious. He's old enough to know what he's doing and know all about actions have consequences, etc. It's a cliche, but he's played the stupid game and won the stupid prize. Words and Travel says, not the arsehole. Get him, man. I'm an insensitive arsehole t-shirt for his birthday. And Farage says, not the arsehole. It's high time Benjamin learned empathy, and I'm afraid cancelling the dinner won't be enough for that. Now, what do you guys think of this one? What do you think was going through that person's mind? I can't understand how someone can think something like that is a joke. It just, something in my head, it just doesn't, I can't get it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And before we get into the next story, I'd just like to say there is mentions of miscarriage in there. So if you would like to use the timestamps, please feel free to use them. That's what they're there for. And let's get in to the next story. And our next story is from Am I the Arsehole Rainbow 2016. Am I the arsehole for refusing to make an exception for my brother's son to attend my child-free wedding just because he's a rainbow baby? Hi, I, female 33, am getting married come October to my fiance Derek. Wedding planning went okay, but as soon as we started sending out invitations, the problems began coming our way. Thing is, Derek and I decided the wedding would be child-free. It wasn't out of the blue, and this possibility was there. I have a 42-year-old brother, Paul, who's married, but his wife suffered from several miscarriages and failed pregnancies during their marriage. They finally were blessed with a son that everyone calls a miracle and a rainbow baby. My nephew is 4 years old, and everyone salutes him and treats him as a king, and also turn a blind eye to any misbehaviors he has, which has caused him to become loud, destructive, out of control, and punishless. When Paul received the invitation and found out kids weren't included, he and Mum lost it and decided on an urgent meeting with me and Derek. Paul said, "My son is an exception, right?" I said no, and this rule is to be followed by everyone. He argued that I was making a mistake by excluding my nephew. He and my mum went on about how he's a miracle since he's their rainbow baby / grandbaby. Then Paul said he had no problem with my wedding being child-free, but expects me to make an exception for his son. He explicitly said, "You can have your child-free wedding, but you're going to have to make an exception for my son, and you know why." Derek apologised and said we won't, since our friends and in-laws have had kids too, but now have to leave them at home, and arrange for babysitters, and advised him to do the same. Paul was offended and said if his son isn't invited, then he won't come, and gave us an ultimatum to drop out if we don't edit his invitation. That caused my family to freak out, because Paul is the only and oldest sibling I have, and they said his presence at the wedding is a must. I had an argument with Mum and Dad, who said the fact that I'm choosing this to be my hill to die on and treating Paul and my nephew like that was appalling. They emphasised how my nephew is special and I should be ashamed to exclude him, even when the wedding is child-free. My parents said if Paul won't come, they won't come either, which devastated me a lot and caused me to break down. Derek said they were the ones being unreasonable and disrespectful of our wedding, and we should wait, maybe they'll come around eventually, but they've doubled down. This morning my aunt and uncle dropped out as well as my other uncle last week. Paul told everyone and they're supporting him and won't come unless I make an exception for my nephew, but that will upset my guests and they'll all call me a hypocrite. My family is divided, saying I'm ruining my own wedding, basically saying this is all on me. ETA, because I see this question asked a lot. My family have normalised this behaviour from Paul and also his wife. Whenever I point out how unacceptable it is to expect everyone to cater to my nephew and his parents, Paul would chime in with, "She's jealous because he and his wife have a kid, while I can't / don't." I was married before meeting Derek and divorced my ex-husband for my inability to have kids, but that's another story. Now, I see this one as quite a simple one to me, that this is, this is your day. And not in a bridezilla kind of way or anything like that. You've given the rule to everyone that you want it to be a child-free wedding, and we see it all the time in these stories, and it's absolutely fine if that's what you want. And you're right, if you was to make an exception for one person, everyone else is going to look at you like, what the hell? And then for your whole family to start dropping out like that, I think, bloody hell. If I was in that position, just the feeling that I was getting so angry towards the end there, I'd be like, sod this, I'm eloping and getting married somewhere else. I have my marriage somewhere else and enjoy my day my way, rather than having all this drama around it caused by your family. They say that this is the hill that you want to die on. It's the other way round. I personally don't think you're asking for very much here, but let's go to the comments to see what they say. Chittikin says, "Not the arsehole. You are not the one dying on this hill. Your brother is, and he's involving the rest of the family. If your family cares more about whether a 4-year-old gets to go to a wedding and or reception, which as the only child there won't be any fun for him, too true, than they do about celebrating you and your new husband, then that will make the decision about which family to spend the holidays with that much easier. You are not being malicious. You are making a decision about your guest list. Your wedding is about you and your fiance. It is not about your nephew or your brother and his wife. The fact that they are making this about them is absolutely shameful." OP replies to that saying, "Thank you for your input. Fact there is were easy options / routes for Paul to take, like getting a babysitter like Derek suggested, but Paul got extremely offended and agitated talking about how his son isn't the same as other kids and how he never required a babysitter before. Derek kept rolling his eyes, but not out of disrespect for my nephew, but because of the way Paul spoke. Paul called Derek disrespectful and then he gave us an ultimatum. It's a shame, and I definitely didn't expect this reaction from them. Your mum, Infinity, says, not the arsehole, tell them you'll miss them and enjoy your day. Anti-Charm replies to that saying, I agree, not the arsehole, but this is shit advice. OP is a real person with feelings, and they won't just get over their family abandoning them on what's supposed to be the happiest day of their life, just because they're in the right. Real life is messy, and sometimes you can't help but love your family, even when they're being toxic arseholes. OP is in an awful position and my heart goes out to them. I really hope they find a way to work things out. And I think that's absolutely too true. I'm guilty of it myself when I come into these stories and we throw away stuff like just get rid of the family and all that kind of stuff. And if they haven't been like super entitled before this and this is the first time this has happened, it must be extremely difficult to be in that position like OP is facing right now. So I do like that comment from Anti-Charm there, but Johnny Pasanda says, rules are for other people. People are the very best people. Not the arsehole. Sounds like his nibs, the rainbow baby, might make himself the center of attention, or would be egged on to do so by his fan club. Congratulations on your wedding. Blank Tom 9 says, not the arsehole, your family sucks. I would just elope and screw the whole wedding. A couple of things. 1, the kid is 4. Time for the parents to get over this rainbow baby thing and raise their kid right, like a normal, not spoiled child. 2, what is the kid going to do at the wedding when no other kids around? Sounds boring as fuck. 3, what are you going to say to all the other parents who are pissed off at you because they had to find a babysitter, but you allowed others to make an exception? And one more from Thelma Horse who says, not the arsehole, this is your hill to die on. Your SO's family's children are no less important to you than your nephew just because he was born following losses. Your wedding, your rules. Let them miss it. You won't regret it. They will. Your family's behavior is disgusting. To even think that they can bully you into this and call emergency meetings. Fudge me. Also, what 4-year-old wants to go to a wedding? I mean, come on. You need to set firm boundaries and expectations now. God forbid you ever have kids and your family treats them as less important because they weren't born after losses. Congratulations on the wedding, forget about them and enjoy starting your life with a man you love. Now, what do you guys make of this story? What would you do if you found yourself in OP's position? I think it can be incredibly hard sometimes, especially, like I said before, if the family hasn't acted like this way in the past, but maybe they have. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Empty Elderberry 353, titled, Am I the arsehole for not letting my kindergartner take her teacher flowers? I was getting my 2 5-year-old girls ready for school this morning while my wife was making breakfast and packing their lunches. I grabbed both the girls' backpacks and placed them beside the front door. I noticed out of the corner of my eye, my daughter C had a plastic bag in her hand and put it in her bag. My other daughter K came over to me and told me that C had put flowers in her bag. I walked over to her and took the flowers out. C immediately protested and said she was taking them to her teacher. I looked at them and they were basically weeds, so I told her that her teacher wouldn't want them and to not take them to school. She began sobbing. My wife overheard and pulled me into the bedroom and scolded me like a child, saying I was too harsh with our daughter and that she was just trying to do something nice. She called me an arsehole and said that I need to apologise to our daughter and tell her I didn't mean what I said and let her take the flowers to her teacher if she wanted. I don't want her to take those flowers and I certainly don't think I need to apologise to my child for telling them not to do something. I think my wife is overreacting because our daughter was crying. Am I the arsehole? So now this poor, kind-hearted little girl thought about her teacher, thought her teacher might like some flowers, which meant much more to your daughter, and you just took it away saying, your teacher ain't going to want that. How upsetting must that be? That must absolutely awful. Of course you're going to be the arsehole in this story. And sure, teacher might take those flowers or weeds, whatever they are, and might not do anything with them. But the thought that went into that from this little girl, from this kind-hearted little girl, I imagine that to the teacher that would mean much more than anything, would mean so much to her The appreciation that she's getting from someone who clearly respects her so much to take her time out of her little life and, think about her teacher in that way. I think that's absolutely amazing. And yes, you're the arsehole for stamping down on that to me. But Cat Herder says you're the arsehole. It says a lot about you that you can't appreciate the kindness of your child, but more that you don't view her as a complete human person whose emotional development is worthy of consideration. You are doubly the arsehole for making this about you. We get it, you're embarrassed by your child, but that's a you issue and your kid deserves an apology from you. All you're teaching her right now is to accept that being beaten down by future partners, your job as a father is to model appropriate behaviour so that she grows into a fully functional, capable and well-balanced adult who understands how she's supposed to be treated. You still have time to correct yourself here. By the way, teachers are delighted by their students being thoughtful and kind. It is part of the reward of the job. You just took away a bright spot in a teacher's day. Quirky Fun username says you're the arsehole. Maybe the teacher doesn't want the flowers, but you know what she does want? Kids to enjoy school and engage with her. I can promise you, it would have meant something to that teacher that your sweetheart of a daughter thought of her. Sugarbone says you're the arsehole. What's the point of bullying a child who is trying to be kind? Why would you actively discourage such a beautiful positive quality in your daughter? Even if for whatever banal reason you decided you didn't want your daughter to take the plant to school, to shit on her thoughtfulness, your teacher wouldn't want them anyway, is unwarranted and cruel. I think you need to take a lesson here from your daughter in how to be a decent person. And one more from my Lord Poochie who says, not gonna lie, you're the arsehole, your kid is 5. She wanted to give the teacher flowers. Bad flowers aren't the end of the world. Say sorry to your kid. Now, what do you guys think of this one? I think it's only going to go one way. I can't see any other alternative to this, but what are your thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from our very own subreddit r/Mark Narrations, where you can post your own stories and occasionally we read them on the channel as well. And today's story is coming from Lesbian Lizards, titled, Would I Be the Arsehole If I Asked My Friend Who's Getting Married to Reimburse My Bridesmaid's Dress? I'm on mobile, so excuse any formatting and all that. Okay, backstory. My friend for several years now is getting married next weekend. I was one of her 3 bridesmaids. I've known I've been a bridesmaid since about last year. I've also known she wanted me to be a part of the wedding since 2019. And I've been excited for it. I've bought my dress, a hairband that matches the dress, and jewellery I plan to wear, shoes, a matching mask to the dress, a dress shirt for the rehearsal, a shower gift, a wedding gift she's now not getting, and paying for part of the hotel room. This probably all totaled to over 500 Canadian dollars, I assume. The dress was about 200 Canadian dollars. The story. I was sadly informed yesterday that I've been uninvited. Why, you may be asking? Because her mum messed up the number of guests that are invited and forgot my friend had 3 bridesmaids and not 2 when informing the wedding coordinator, which means there isn't enough room for little old me. So I've been upset and pissed about this. I've been looking forward to this, first time being part of a wedding party. Like I've mentioned, I was informed yesterday less than a week away from the wedding. Also, more insult to injury that I just got the dress altered yesterday to add straps to it. It's strapless and I was wanting to bring it up to bust so it's no more saggy titties town. As well as my headband I bought also just came in yesterday. Yay! Here's the issue. My mum knows about this and is pissed. Like so pissed she's not wanting my friend, the bride, to come over ever again. Like she's full on banned from coming over. My mum can be pretty protective when it comes to people who've wronged me and my sisters. My mum is wanting my friend to pay me back for the dress. I personally am fine with my friend paying me back for my part of the room and what I bought for meals during the bridal shower. Like she said she'd pay me when she got paid. Feeling like I might not get this money back. So my mum's point she has is 1. I'm not working and I'm on disability, so little to no disposable income. 2. I can't return the dress now with the alterations and throw out the bag it originally came in. 3. There isn't a big likelihood I'm going to be wearing the dress much or ever because I don't do many fancy things that require a dress like this. 4. The uninviting was last minute, week before the wedding. 5. There is a timeline on us talking about the wedding and planning and me getting a dress up until yesterday when I was uninvited. My mum is also wanting her to pay back the money ASAP. But would I be the arsehole for asking her to pay back for the dress? I just found it, when I was reading through this one, I found like something weird going on, you know, just messing up the number of guests and forgetting that there was 3 bridesmaids and not 2. That just seems absolutely crazy to me, and it felt like something was missing. I don't know what, but it felt like something was missing. And personally to me, yeah, I don't think you're in the wrong for asking the money for the dress back. Assuming she wanted you to get that dress and all that kind of stuff, then I can't blame you for wanting the money back. They're the ones who basically kicked you out of the wedding party when you bought all this stuff to be ready for it. And if I was the bride or someone in this situation, I'd be hugely embarrassed about this and likely insisting I pay you back for it, because it's just not on, is it? But I can't see you, from the way the story's played out in this, I can't really see you getting the money back. I don't know why, it all feels a bit shady to me. But that's an absolutely awful situation, especially when you were looking forward to it so much. So I'm sorry this has happened to you as well. But we have one comment who I'll cover straight away from Gelatinous Nonsense. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Wow, I'm so sorry, that sucks, and hugs. I wouldn't expect to see any repayment, but I don't think you would be an arsehole for trying. Typically in modern weddings, bridesmaids pay for all their stuff, but if you've had the rug yanked out from under you like this, then I would absolutely ask for repayment. Bride is definitely the arsehole for uninviting you last minute, especially since you would have been in the wedding party. I don't see how the mistake could have actually been made. When I went to my friend's wedding 2 years ago, she knew exactly how many people were going. She started off with the people in the wedding, me included. Wedding party in my experience gets preferential treatment. I actually still owe her for the dress, shoes and accessories because she wanted me as a bridesmaid enough she offered to pay for everything up front, and I could pay her back later. It really doesn't make sense from a wedding planning perspective that the bride would magically not know how many people were supposed to come. If anything, I'd have seen who I could cut from the guest list if I absolutely couldn't accommodate one person. There's something kind of fishy about the whole thing really, or I guess it could have been a bad wedding planner. All of the weddings I've been to, they've known how many people were coming way in advance. I'm kind of suspicious that this was deliberate. Edit to fix typos. Sorry it's almost 6 AM and the cat woke me up scaring the crap out of me. They have these giant balls with bells in them. They haven't touched in like months. I guess at 5:30 in the morning sounded like the perfect time to bat them into doors and walls, lol. Crazy kitties as well. But what are your thoughts on this story and all of today's stories? If you have a moment of your time, as always, I would love to hear them and your verdicts as well. It means the absolute world. And just thank you for spending 20 to 30 minutes with me today and getting involved with the channel. If you do have a spare moment in your time, would you please consider hitting that like button, maybe that subscribe button as well. And if you'd like to support the channel further, never any pressure though either, you can click that join button down below for YouTube or the link tree in the description and join up on Patreon. It really helps out the channel, but as always, never any pressure. Thank you so much for your love, support and time, and I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love. I got food up in the fridge. Y'all keep looking for that new way. I think I like it how it is.